Today, this copper queen orchid gets a new home. She's growing out of the pot. All of this and more coming up at the Orchid Hut. Welcome back to the Orchid Hut. My name is Dana, and today's video shouldn't be too long. We're just simply going to be repotting the copper queen orchid that bloomed recently because she's growing out of the pot. There's a new growth right here as well as some new roots, and you can see that next new growth would not have room to put down roots inside the pot, so it's time to give her a slightly bigger home. And so that's what we're going to do today. I don't expect this to be a gigantic or particularly messy job. I didn't even bother getting the green potting tray out because we're going to just do this as kind of a fast repot. Now, this orchid has not been in this pot all that long. I bought this one as a bag baby and then repotted it since I've had it. So I'm thinking this has been in the pot maybe a year or slightly longer. So, it's one of those situations where how I repotted it didn't last very long because it has been a pretty vigorous grower. It has put on several new pseudobulbs since it's been in my care, and it has bloomed for the first time this year. So, just as soon as you say this is going to be an easy orchid repot, you find you can't even get it out of the pot. Let's see. I don't want to have to go get the clippers for the pot. But I may have to because a lot of these roots in the bottom are probably preventing it from cutting loose. Okay. Just a little 10-second break here. Let me get my cutters and I'll be right back. Okay, so these have been flamed and sanitized. Some of the roots growing out of the bottom of the pot are dead. Some are not. In fact, there's a new little root tip right there. So whether or not I'm going to be able to pull this out without ruining those new little root tips is yet to be seen. But it's okay. It's a really vigorous grower, and I think if it loses a few root tips, it won't be the end of the world. While I'm doing this, there's another topic I wanted to mention, so I'll see if I can concentrate and talk through that at the same time I'm trying to get this out. I'm filming this on Saturday, but it may very well be Sunday before it gets posted because it does take a little bit of editing work, and then YouTube is sometimes a little bit slow getting things uploaded. But in any event, today, which is Saturday, just did, and I'm going to have to cut these as well because they're holding up the show here. Today on Saturday, I just did a new community post, and it was a poll. It was a question that said, have you been enjoying the short videos that I have been making the last few weeks? So when I say short video, I'm talking about the ones that are like under a minute. So you basically get just a little mini snippet of something that's going on in my orchid world. And there's usually, some music involved and, not a lot of talking, but, it's just a quick little thing to watch. And I would truly value your honest opinion about whether or not you enjoy watching those little short videos. And you may actually have to go to the community post section from my channel page in order to see the poll question, because I don't exactly think that it's 100% guarantee that YouTube will present that poll to you in your feed, even if you are a channel subscriber. So if you wouldn't mind going and hunting that community post poll down, I would appreciate it, and give me your vote. And then if you have any particular comments about it, feel free to leave me a comment. Okay, so why am I even asking that question? Well, you know, I had not really done that many short videos in the past, you know, maybe one or two here and there, you know, maybe, you know, one every few months. And I took that approach because I didn't really feel like the short format for YouTube videos fit with my channel, because I'm more about detail, I'm more about education, I'm more about sharing experiences and, you know, really demonstrating things in depth. And so the short video format didn't really allow me to do much of that. You know, it allows me to show you some blooms. It allows you to maybe, you know, show you a little something that I did in my orchid garden, but not a lot of opportunity to talk or provide a lot of information in 59 seconds or less. But if you are a content creator on YouTube, you to a certain extent have to play YouTube's game for the algorithm. And the way that YouTube is valuing channels right now is through short videos, likes, and shares of video content. And if you do a longer video like this one, they really want it to sort of be 45 minutes or less, certainly under an hour. And what happens is, over the long term, if you don't play YouTube's algorithm game, your channel kind of goes into a deep, dark closet, and new people are never shown your content, your subscriber count doesn't grow, yada yada. Okay, so I thought I would try some short videos to see what would happen, and lo and behold, it increases your views, it increases your likes, and it does draw more new subscribers to the channel. Just a little bit, but it does do that. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do next. My story is not finished, by the way. I'm going to go to the sink. I'm going to wash out the remainder of this bark, and I will be back with not only the orchid, but the remainder of my story. Okay, be right back. Okay, so back from the sink, and let's talk a little bit more about the orchid, and then I will get back to my story. All right, so the initial mess from the unpot has been cleared away. Root system looks pretty good here. It's not worth, you know, trying to pry away every last little piece of bark that is stuck there. I do need to give the root system a bit of a trim up. I don't really need to spray it because this one had already been repotted by me from the grower. I will most likely be removing at least this last seedling growth right here, mostly because you can kind of tell that this orchid has a rhizome that is going upwards, and I need to be able to pot it, you know, a bit more like this. So I may be taking off one or two of these seedling pseudobulbs here, and it's a good strong plant, so that should be okay. And besides, the root system beneath those two seedling pseudobulbs is, you know, dead anyway, so there's not any root system there that would be cut away in the process of doing that. And then for our bark today, this is just the Repot Me Cattleya Imperial Orchid mix. Okay, so this is my typical potting mix that I use for Cattleyas. Okay, so let's do a little trimming. My little pruners here are ready to go. Okay, now back to the story. All right, so taking what I told you in the first part of this video, realize too that those of us that have orchid channels, we are in a pretty small niche, I would say. You know, orchid videos are not something that just a ton of people gravitate to. You know, there's a good number of people that are interested, but you know, not like some other content areas. So, you know, our viewership is probably somewhat limited from the get-go simply because of the content. So that's another challenge for legitimate growers who have channels. And then there's a phenomena going on right now that seems to be a bit more prevalent for whatever reason, and I have my theories which I'll share in a second, but there are some orchid videos that I would call simply exist for the shock value of the content. Okay, now what do I mean by that? So shock value of orchid growing information is things like put ice cubes on your orchids, those videos. Put a garlic clove on the top of your pot to get more orchid roots. Or maybe, you know, you could even go back to the old, you know, mix up your fertilizer water with a banana peel in it. Those videos which have shock value, like before and afters, that are just completely, you know, unbelievable in the real orchid growing world, tend to get thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And you know, the sad part is that there are probably some new growers who are actually following and believing that. Okay, so that's taking some of the viewership away. Okay, now add on top of that the fact that some very, very good orchid growers on YouTube rely on the money that they make from their cut of the advertisements as part of their, you know, necessary monthly income just to get by. And, you know, I am fortunate enough to say that I am not in that place. I don't make a whole bunch of money off of YouTube ads. You know, I might make enough money in 2 or 3 months to buy a new shirt. Really, it's that low because my viewership, you know, I don't have that many subscribers and I don't have that many views. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of money made every few months, not much. But other channels that have many more viewers rely on that source of income. And rightly they should, because, you know, they are going to a lot of trouble to spend time creating videos and giving good orchid information. And if you enjoy their channel, then, you know, my thought is, yes, you know, the fact that they get some compensation from the advertisements, or maybe their merchandise store, or, you know, maybe their membership area, or any other thing that they do to help make money from their YouTube videos is perfectly acceptable in my eyes. They're putting time in, so they should be compensated for that if people are enjoying and watching their channel. Okay, but because YouTube keeps changing the rules, and because a lot of the other orchid channels sort of steal the viewership away, these people are beginning to kind of suffer in the YouTube world, and it's a constant guessing game. What in the heck are we supposed to do to grow our channels? So, with all of that being said, if you enjoy my channel or any other legitimate orchid channel, and there are too many to name, by the way, I have my favorites that I watch on a regular basis, but you probably have your favorites. And the very least that you can do to support their work and their channel is to give a thumbs up, because YouTube looks at that and, you know, makes a decision about the value of their channel. So if you're watching it, give it a thumbs up. The other thing that you can do to help out is share. Of course, you know, share the video content someplace else on social media. You can leave a comment and just support them in those ways, because times are hard for a lot of people, and you know, they spend a lot of time making and editing their videos. Goodness, I know, because I, you know, do the same, and I know that there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, you know, that's not exactly a rant for today. There goes the lower part of the rhizome. It's not a rant for today, but it's more just about kind of being aware, I guess, of what goes on in the YouTube world. Okay, so this is doing much better here. Now, I do need to get some cinnamon for that rhizome cut right there, because that is a little bit into the green. Okay, so let me take another little quick break here. I want to get some of this mess cleaned up, and then we will be ready to go into the pot. And I promise my story is over. Okay, be right back. Okay, so I did touch that rhizome cut with a bit of cinnamon while I was off camera. And now I think the only other thing I want to do is remove a bit of this dry sheath right here. It has served its function, although I do want to be very careful not to interfere with that new growth, so I'm probably not going to tug at it too far beyond that point right there. There are new roots right here, new roots here. And that needs to be very close to the media so that as it continues to grow, it will set down some new roots for this orchid. And I'm going to go ahead and trim the old bloom spike away. All right, let's get cracking here. Okay, so some media in the bottom of the pot. I have my fingers crossed that I'm not going to run out. We'll see how it goes. And the idea here is to plant this at a bit of an angle and maybe a bit over to the side like this, so that, you know, down the road I'm not having to continually repot this one just because the rhizome is extending and the plant is going up. Okay. I do believe this is going to be one of those situations where I have to go get some more media. And in case you're wondering, my kitchen floor is absolutely spotless because every time I repot an orchid, I pretty much have to mop it. Okay, that is looking really, really good. However, it is a tiny bit short on the media. So, a quick little break here. I need to go get about another 2 cups of media. Be right back. Okay, that was a bit of a longer break on my end of the world. I had to go open a new shipment of orchid media, find this Cattleya mix, pull it out, open that bag. And so you'll notice that this looks a little bit damp, you know, compared to the other media that I started with. And this brings me to a point that, you know, kind of needs mentioning again. I think I have a video on it early on, but I'll mention it again. When you purchase your media, open it and give it the ability to have some air circulation and dry out, because otherwise mold will start to grow with the moisture that's trapped inside the bag, and your media will begin to decompose before you ever even use it. So that's one of the things I need to do as soon as I'm finished with this orchid, is go outside and open all of my new bags of media so that it can begin to dry out. Okay, so here we are. This is looking really good, especially since I took off those 2 seedling growths, and they're gonna no longer either have to be buried in order for this orchid to be potted correctly, or have the orchid be sort of not deep enough in the pot because of those growths. All right, I'm gonna give this a good tap, and then we're gonna check for air spaces. Okay, let's have a look. A good bit of dust came out of that first batch of orchid bark. I can see it down in the pot, but it will flush out, you know, the first time or two I run a bunch of water through. Okay, so it's leaning a bit. I will probably take a stake or 2 and stake these 2 growths to encourage the new one right down here to grow up straight. Okay, so that concludes this Brassolalia cattleya Copper Queen Orchid Repot. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up. The subscribe button is coming up in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Don't forget to like this video as well as other orchid channels that you watch, and talk to you next time.